This is the story of David and Denize, the couple we celebrate today on the most important day of their lives. Let's rewind to the year. Well, a few haircuts ago, before the suits, before the wedding. There was David, born into a wonderfully full and never boring family of 8. David was one of 4 boys, right in the middle of all the madness. His mother, Annabelle, his father, Dennis. Then came Angelique, the eldest, followed by Angelo Deogari, then David Dale. And finally, the baby of the bunch, Annika, a symphony of siblings, a household of personalities. And in the middle of it all, David. From the very beginning, David was a burst of joy, chaos, and comedic timing. The kind of kid who could make the whole room laugh, usually right before getting in trouble for it. He and his brothers played basketball, battled it out on the PlayStation, wrestled in the living room, and even formed a band for their sister's debut. Partners in crime then, and partners still now. Oh, and let's not forget the emo skater boy phase. Yes, that happened. Hair thick, bangs swooped to the side, a style that said, "I've got feelings," and a playlist. Fast forward to college. David studied information systems at De La Salle University. And from OJT to part-time roles, he worked right away after graduation. When he started his OJT, he was the outsider. But that's where Nettie, Ricky, Kenneth, and Carl came into the picture. What began as colleagues quickly became true friendships, the kind that turned ordinary workdays into inside jokes, adventures, and a brotherhood that lasts to this day. Soon, David became a software developer, leading a project so successful it helped boost the entire company. Ambitious as ever, he moved through different jobs, some that stretched him, some that stressed him, until finally, he found the role he truly loves at a startup where purpose and passion finally aligned. Around this time, David also rekindled his friendship with Robbie. No one really expected it to become the bond it is now, but together, they built a friendship that has stood the test of time. Since then, they've shared countless adventures. Work, travel, late-night conversations, and plenty of stories that probably shouldn't be repeated at family dinners. Robbie never left David's side, sometimes literally. And today, after all those memories, Robbie stands where only the truest of friends can, right beside David as his best man. But even before the emo hair, the dota, and the deadlines, there was Denize. They met in grade 1 at Siena College, Quezon City. Assigned partners by the teacher, they were told to hold hands while walking in line. And just like that, David caught feelings. Denize, she vowed to never like a boy like him. Too small, too big-eyed, too... David. Denise's own story began with a strong mother who raised her with courage and sacrifice, and her brother, Denzel. At just 3 months old, her mom Janet left to work abroad, while Denize and Denzel grew up in the care of their loving Lolo Ed, Lola Clarita, and even their aunties who looked after them as if they were their own. Later, her mom found happiness with Runar, a kind, gentle stepdad who embraced them as his own. Denize began her college journey at Benilde, studying multimedia arts. But in her second year, something shifted. She realized her true passion wasn't behind a screen. It was behind the seams. Fashion had always been her first love. So she took the leap and transferred to fashion design and merchandising. The only problem? She didn't know a single soul in her new program. For weeks, she kept to herself, head down, focused on schoolwork, quietly finding her footing. And then came Linnell. During a sewing class, Linnell, bold, teasing, curious, started asking Denize questions. And unlike everyone else, Denize answered them straight. No judgment. Just honesty. That simple exchange turned into something extraordinary. From that day on, they were inseparable. Like 2 peas in a pod, finishing each other's thoughts, laughing through late-night projects, and sharing dreams bigger than the classroom. Before long, 2 became 4. Joined by Noelle and Phyllis, they built a sisterhood of fashion, friendship, and forever loyalty. Through exams, fashion shows, and now engagements and weddings, their bond has endured every chapter. After graduation, Denise's love for fashion took her into the world of retail. She began as a fashion buyer for SM Ladies, where she spent 5 years surrounded by racks of clothes, endless fittings, and co-workers who soon felt like family. Hungry for new challenges, she moved to Lazada as a category merchandising manager. It lasted 2 years, but gave her something more lasting than a job title. Friendships that stuck, connections that shaped her journey. Still, the corporate world wasn't where her story would end. Denize had bigger dreams, and she was brave enough to chase them. Together with her best friend Linnell, she launched Lomaf, a bag brand born from late-night brainstorms and bold ambition. The start was anything but easy. Building a brand from scratch meant setbacks, doubts, and more hard work than anyone could imagine. But Denize never walked it alone. With Linnell by her side, her creativity and persistence paid off. Today, Lomaf thrives. A testament not just to fashion, but to friendship, resilience, and faith in one's own vision. Denize is now growing into her own as a businesswoman, doing what she loves, with the people she loves, and still carrying that same spark that began in a sewing classroom years ago. At Siena College, grades 1 and 2, they were classmates, but not again until high school. And that's when the story really began. By first year, David had heard a little rumor that maybe, just maybe, he had a chance. So he did what any determined teenager would do. He courted Denize for exactly 1 week. At dismissal time, Denize finally gave her answer. She said yes, and in true unforgettable David fashion, he replied, "That makes me so happy. Okay, bye. I'm going to play Dota now." He hopped on a jeepney and went to a computer shop. And yes, she still said yes after that. Of course, no great love story is without its hurdles. By 3rd year, they broke up. Denize had suitors, but none she entertained. Their mutual friends stayed close, with Denise's high school best friend Janine even calling David out for making her cry. But love has a way of finding its way back. By the end of 4th year, they found each other again. This time, stronger, surer, ready. Heading into college, their bond only grew stronger. The plan? Both of them at De La Salle University. The reality? David got in. Denize didn't. But she wasn't about to let a little admissions letter stop their story. So, she chose the next best thing. De La Salle College of Saint Benilde, conveniently right next door. Some might call it fate. Others might call it strategic campus selection. Either way, it worked. They still studied side by side. They still grew up together. And those teenage crushes slowly turned into late-night talks about forever. Fast forward past graduation gowns and first jobs. In 2019, they boarded a plane to Hong Kong, their very first trip abroad, self-funded and hard-earned. That trip lit a fire in them both, to dream bigger, travel farther, and build a life together filled with new places, new memories, and endless adventures. Career-driven, future-focused, always side by side. 17 years later, their promise is still alive. Denize once said she wanted to marry by 30. David kept that promise. On October 8th, 2023, he proposed. And now, today, October 18th, 2025, in front of the people who've laughed with them, cried with them, and cheered them on, they finally say, "I do." What began as 2 kids holding hands in line grew into teenage glances, college dreams, travel adventures, and a love that never stopped choosing each other. 17 years in the making. 17 years of laughter, growth, and love. And now their greatest chapter begins. Because at the end of it all, that's how Denize was more than enough for David. Hashtag more than enough for David.